Republican Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas sits on both the Finance and Budget Committees, revealed that he's spoken to the president on this very issue, plans to issue legislation here soon, I suspect. The senator with us tonight here on the Hill. Once again, Senator Marshall, thanks for being with us. I want to lay out some of the facts as we know it. The average credit card interest rate, it's up at 21% right now, and that is an escalation from where it was just, say, a decade ago. And when we look at credit card debt across this country, it is spiking well north of $1 trillion at about $1.2 trillion. What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, look, we want every American family to be able to live their American dream. And unfortunately, they're spending $300 a month on interest on credit cards and swipe fees as well. That's come about because there's two credit card companies, a handful of banks that control 80% of the market. So we want to put this cap at 10% on the interest rates. As you point out, Americans paying 20 to 30% on interest rates right now. I think this is wildly popular, and this is something that we're doing to impact the cost of living.
Look, I obviously showed the numbers there, and you will get no pushback on when it comes to taking on the credit card companies and taking on the banks in America. You laugh. It's funny because it's true. You know that's the case, right? But I just heard a Republican tell me that they are pushing for a price cap. Here's what you said, Senator, about Kamala Harris on debate night in October. You said Kamala Harris wants price controls and likes government handouts. Price controls and government handouts drive up costs across the rest of the economy. Why now are you for price controls?
Well, I think desperate times call for desperate measures. I wouldn't call this price controls. We're capping interest rates. Look, credit card companies are making 45 to 55% net profit margins. Banks making 30% net profit margin. Look, these have become oligopolies. So if there was truly a free market system, I'd be all for doing nothing. But again, I mentioned two credit card companies controlling 80% of the market. Something has to be done.
I just heard you say desperate times call for desperate measures. And there's a Republican in the White House. The Republicans run Capitol Hill right now as well. I know you're talking specifically about this issue, but does the president need to do more about the economy?
Well, look, maybe I over-exaggerated with an old phrase. I wouldn't take it literally. What I hear people saying is because of 4 years of Joe Biden inflation, we've seen the cost of housing, the cost of health insurance, property insurance go 50%. Other issues got up some 25%. So we do want to address this. Good news, the border's secure, gas prices are coming down, the stock market's soaring, interest rates are going down as well. But there is a group of people who are struggling to reach their American dream. And we want to make sure that can happen. Right now, these families carrying $7,000 a month of credit card debt, and they're getting charged, as you pointed out, 20 to 30% interest. So we want to bring that cost down for American families.
You just talked about interest rates, Senator, and there is a new conversation around Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, a new criminal investigation into him. Do you believe that Jay Powell is a criminal?
I think that's what the AG needs to find out. What I do believe is that people are overreacting to the situation right now, that this judicial investigation is about him misleading Congress, perhaps. Did he lie to Congress? I don't know. It was a $1.8 billion project to redo these buildings. I've heard now it's up to $3 to $4 billion. Right now, what we want from the White House and in Congress is full transparency. We want to hold people accountable, and we want to address fraud, waste, and abuse. So I think that's what this investigation is about.
Tom Tillis, your colleague, Republican North Carolina, says, quote, "It is now the independence and credibility of the DOJ that are in question." You just said the Attorney General should look and find out. Should the DOJ continue to go forward with this, or is Tom Tillis right that that now the DOJ's credibility is in question?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that, number one, President Trump did not know about this investigation, and he's not weighed in on it yet either. So I want to wait to see what President Trump has to say about this as well. What we do know is that Jerome Powell has made it political. He made it political in Trump 45 when he raised interest rates too soon. During the Biden era, he was too slow once again on raising interest rates. When we saw inflation was occurring, he was calling it temporary, as you know, and then a month before the presidential election, he drops interest rates 0.5%, and now he appears to be too slow in dropping interest rates again. So it does feel somewhat political. May 15th can't come soon enough when we get to turn that position over.
May 15th, as the senator says, is when Jay Powell's tenure ends as the Fed chair. President Trump expected to announce his replacement soon. Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, going over a lot with us tonight here on The Hill. Nice to see you. We'll talk again soon. Of course.